And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. Top story of the day. Alberta surpasses the U.S. in measles cases. Pierre Poilievre called out Mark Carney yesterday. Asylum seekers are flooding the Saint-Bernard-de-la-Colle border. Why is Brookfield trending on X? And finally, why would our new public safety minister want to admit a member of the Sri Lankan Tamil Tigers? Get your comments ready because the show starts now. What's going on, man?
What's up, my brother? How you doing today? How's the baby the baby rearing going?
It's just different schedule.
Yeah.
You have to really
yeah. You can't negotiate schedules with a baby. He's they're not interested in your schedule.
Yeah, they definitely are not. So it's a matter of figuring out everything, right? I had to hit the gym before we had an appointment the doctors today because he's underweight, right? So they want to keep track of it.
Yep.
So we went there. I had to go to the gym first. By the time we come back, it was almost 9:30. I was still sweaty from the gym, didn't have time to take a shower, didn't have time to eat. It's
disgusting bag. Just disgusting.
I'm French, bro. We call that
exactly right. Yeah. That's right. You guys.
It's just a matter of
a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, like wearing pink shirts and not being gay.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean,
it's just heterosexual.
I'm just French. Yeah,
I get it. But it's just a matter of redoing your whole schedule. Yep. When you've been able to do your schedule as pretty much as you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, it is no longer the case, but
no, your life is no longer your own.
But it's okay, man.
It's a good trade-off. It's fair. It's a good trade-off.
I don't even think it's a fair trade-off. I don't remember who said this, but someone said that the reason we're alive is to give birth, is to have children, is to.
I honestly, I when I was younger, I never would have agreed with that. But the older I get, the more I find that resonates with me. That sort of mindset, because it's like as you get older, you get a little bit, I guess, more wise, and it's like, what is the point?
Hopefully,
ideally, like what? But what is the point if not to give, leave something behind and raise the next generation? All the trappings of life, all the pleasure things, and all those things that are important when you're in your 20s and maybe early 30s, they don't really seem that important anymore as you get a little older, I think.
Well, and it's even more than that, because you look at me, for example, which I know there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed in Canada and North America as a whole. And I don't believe that it's our generation that's going to fix it. We're going to be the last generation of people that remember what Canada was like. My son will never know that. He'll hear stories that I tell him, but he'll never see him for himself. But they're the one that's going to have to fight to get it back.
Yeah. I think, I think there are definitely times when it feels bleak. But I don't know. I wouldn't count out the youngest generation now, the kids that are like, 16 and younger right now.
Like your son?
Like my son. Yeah. He's 16. Like, a lot of these kids are pretty common sense. Like, I'll ask them things, what are they pushing at your school? What do they tell you? Like, what are they telling you that, like, men can have, give birth and women can have penises and that kind of nonsense? He's like, yeah, they tell it. I'm like, what do you guys think about it? He's like, we all think everybody thinks it's nonsense. They kind of go along with it all just because the teachers are pushing it. But a lot of this woke nonsense, like, they really overplayed their hand, right? They got into the schools and they're trying to push it on the kids. But I mean, if you know anything about teenagers, you know that if you want to make something like drastically uncool, you have the teachers, have the authority figures in their lives pushing it on them. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to spread this ideology, but if they're trying to kill it, they couldn't have done better than have fucking lunch lady Doris handing out pride buttons at lunch, right? That's the kiss of death. And of course, again, anyone who knows teenagers know that being cool or not cool is like really all they give a shit about. And a lot of this stuff, the kids, they just roll their eyes at it. It's the people who are like 20 to 30 right now who are like the most captured by far.
Which is they're the one that's going to inherit, that's going to take over when our generation is not in charge anymore. It's going to be them. That's why I'm saying they're not going to make it easier. They're going to make it worse.
We're just about to get our shot now. The boomers are still pretty much in charge, right? And they're probably they'll probably hang on for another 5 years or so in terms of like power. Like they'll still be alive after 5 years, but most of them will be so old that they'll be out. Then it'll be our turn, and then it'll be that kind of messed up. I guess what are they, the Zoomers or the
I don't know, man.
Gen Z,
retarded Zoomers.
The generation retard.
Wouldn't that make for a great fucking
generation R?
So let's start with the first subject, because this is something that I talk about all the time. And when I saw this trending this morning, I'm like, once again, CBC's at it, right? They prove to us how biased they actually are. And this is why I wanted to talk about this today. And what I'm talking about, obviously, I just said it in the intro, that as of now, as of July 14th, the Alberta government reported 1,314 measles cases, surpassing the US.
Are we talking per capita? In total? Holy hell. Okay.
No. Hold on. Wow. This is, let me read to you. Let me read to you the caption.
Sure.
From CBC. Alberta now has more confirmed measles cases than entire US. Then you look at another, the national, which is a different video. Mm-hmm. Alberta now has more measles cases than the entire US. So they're making it sound like Alberta at 13-14 measles cases has more measles than the entirety of the US at 1,288 cases.
Okay.
You'll see why you'll see how this is fucking ironic, right? Because as soon as I saw that this morning, I'm like, hold on here for a second. And once again, you'll understand why you can't trust the CBC, although are unbiased, tax-funded, or taxpayers owned, however you want to call it, Crown Corporation.
Crown Corporation, yeah.
The idea that they're unbiased is a very biased idea in itself. So I have a video here. It's 8 minutes long. I don't want to play it all, but I just want to show what people are presented with when it comes to measles, and why a lot of them don't question it, because they bring experts on the panel, they sound all professional, they sell a great idea, but they leave a massive component out that once you understand it, you're like, whoa. And it has nothing to do with the whoop whoop. However you feel about that is irrelevant. This is not about having the whoop whoop or not having, at least from my perspective. Like, the problem is not about that. It's about the massive whoop whoop. No, it is not.
All right.
It is, but not this time. It doesn't matter how you feel about
again. This guy.
I really like his voice.
Well, Alberta's measles outbreak has hit a new milestone. Cases in that province have now surpassed those confirmed across the entire U.S. Mark Carney is tracking the data and joins us now. And Mark, let's begin with how bad it's gotten in Alberta.
Yeah, Ian, Alberta is not the first. It's not the only province to surpass that threshold so far. However, as you mentioned, per capita, these numbers don't exactly look great for Alberta. It joins Ontario as the second province now to surpass the United States in terms of confirmed measles cases. Let's take a look at the numbers for the three. You will see that Alberta now has 1,300 14 cases as of noon local time today, the latest update. When you look at Ontario, 1,934 confirmed cases as of the last update in that province on Thursday. In the United States, there is a total of 1,288 confirmed cases. That's as of the last update by the CDC late.
So, do you see where the problem is in there?
Right away, my bullshit detector's kind of going off. Like, really? I don't know exactly what's behind these numbers, but you're telling me that both Alberta and Ontario on their own have more cases of measles than the 350 million Americans? Like, and I'm assuming, without even knowing, I'm assuming they're going to go the anti-vax route, or to say that's why, right? Of course, Alberta's anti-vax, and this is why. But like, USA probably has far more anti-vaxxers than Alberta or Ontario. So I don't know. This doesn't. Something doesn't. I'd like to see, and I assume we're going to, but I'd like to see sort of what's behind these numbers.
The thing to keep in mind is, so I showed you the title on purpose.
Okay.
I read to you multiple different titles on purpose.
Okay.
And then even before watching this video, my first question was, who else is experiencing? Are you trying to tell me that everywhere across Canada there's no measles? And there's just measles in Alberta, nowhere else?
I mean, right away,
then
Alberta has more.
Then yet, look at the numbers. It's literally saying that. Why is it jammed? Hold on.
I mean, the title says Alberta now has more confirmed measles in the United States, but like Ontario has more than Alberta, right? So right away, it's a little like, it's a weird anti-Alberta slant here, or what are they doing here?
Well, what you wait and see, but this is the angle that I'm playing is like right now, I encourage people to go just Google Ontario measles cases. It's topics about Alberta that comes up.
Really?
Yeah, the top stories are, there's 3 or 4 top stories before Ontario. So it's just you're just like okay, hold on here. So you're telling me that there's more cases in Alberta than throughout the US, which is false. Although that's what the title says. He says it right himself, per capita. Yeah, okay, that's not what your title says. That's not what it says at all. And you know as much as I do that people don't listen to full videos. They don't read. Even if it says, they have to put, hey, it's only 3 minutes to read it. Like, people won't read the article because 3 minutes, goddamn. But they'll read a title. So they know what they're doing, right? But as per the CBC, and that's multiple places from the CBC, that's what they're saying. So let's continue listening. But just there, Alberta, they rank first. And if you look, did you Google it? Because I saw you Google.
I did.
But do you see what I mean? If you do Ontario measles cases, Alberta comes up. There's videos about Alberta that comes up before Ontario. Why?
So
there's more cases in Ontario than there is in Alberta, right? So let's continue listening to this. And that is without counting the fake title and the fact that it's not even true. Like, they're saying per capita. You're trying to tell me that there's less than 12, or let's call it 1,400 cases of measles in a country with 355 million people? Sure.
Diagnosed, undetected cases there, but those are the official confirmed.
Hold on, it was right here. Hey, I don't know what the hell's going on with this.
Is it acting up or what?
Yep, 100%.
Well, Alberta's measles.
It keeps on resetting. See how it doesn't load?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a problem with the video.
Do you want me to try on my end? I can.
No, your internet suck. It's really just that. I think it's StreamYard again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Ah, it's so freaking annoying when it jams like that. Oh, hold on. I think I got it now.
You think you got her?
Let's try that again. Yep. Let's try it again. We might have to consider another platform. Let me.
There are a
Yeah,
lot
that's-
diagnosed
seems-
undetected cases there, but those are the official confirmed numbers as we stand. Within Alberta, provincial.
Those are just the confirmed numbers. Did you hear that?
Mhm.
He's like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of unconfirmed cases. Yeah, because you know what? People don't go to the hospital for measles. People don't remember measles parties. You get sick for a few days and then you're done with it. So
Are you sure that was measles? I think like that was definitely. I definitely remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
about chicken
Oh, yeah.
chicken pox.
it was
I
the same
don't
thing. It's
know-
just
I
that
don't know if I
measles
remember
was
that about
before your
measles.
time. Measles before your
Yeah?
time is before our time. Yeah, it's because there was the vaccine that whoop whoop was developed in 1963 or 1967,
Yeah.
which there was a big push for that. But it's the same thing as chickenpox. You remember the chickenpox party? If you talk to people like your parents, they'll remember. If you speak people in their
Yeah.
mid 60s, and they're gonna remember measles parties. It was no different.
Okay.
Oh, come on!
You want? I can try it on my end. It seems to be working. I've
I
got
know
that
it's
video
not the.
up.
It's not a video problem. Is this? It won't
You think
load
it's-
through StreamYard. Yeah.
You think it's StreamYard? Let me just give it a shot. We'll just double check here. Do you remember where we were?
Oh yeah, I have it right here. It's playing again.
In Alberta, it's not the only province to surpass that threshold so far. However, as you mentioned, per capita, these numbers don't exactly look great for Alberta. It joins Ontario as the second
There you
province
go.
now
Just
to
barely
surpass
there.
the United States in terms of confirmed measles cases. Let's take a look at the numbers for the three. You will see that Alberta now has 1,314 cases as of noon local time today, the latest update. When you look at Ontario, 1,934 confirmed cases as of the last update in that province on Thursday. And
So yeah,
is tracking the
shit.
data.
I meant to just pause that. But yeah, right away that sort of gives somewhat of a anti-Alberta bias, because the whole article, like even the title of this, Alberta now has more confirmed cases than the entire US, but Ontario has more cases than Alberta. So why would they lead? Why would they lead? Why would they lead with Alberta? That's that's it's
You know exactly
honestly,
why.
yeah, and it's the same reason why we decided to cover the sovereignty movement,
Yeah.
because
sir.
there's clearly an anti-Alberta bias in the media, especially in CBC. All right, so we'll
provincial
just
health
pick up
authorities,
here.
15
If you want me to
ICU
pause it, just let me know.
admissions. The good
Yeah.
news, no deaths as of July 5th, the last update. But these numbers are concerning for
Pause
Alberta,
it.
again, on a per capita level.
Pause
Because
it.
when you look at the
They're making a big fucking case about measles, yet they just admitted that there was no death. There was no death.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I noticed that actually.
as you'll see, the expected death per 1,000 in measles is less than 3. And as per
Okay.
my last calculation that I did from 1963 and from 1963 to now, the survival rate of measles is 98.4%. And I was using the most, I was trying to create the biggest gap of people dying, right? I wasn't trying to skew the numbers in making the survival rate as high as possible. On the contrary, I was trying to keep it as low as possible. And even in the worst case scenario, 98.4% is the actual survival rate of the measles. And just
Yes.
so
So it's quite survivable.
You know, one of the things that I always bring up, and this is one thing I always want people to keep in mind is informed consent, know your stats, know what it actually does. The vaccine was introduced at a time where measles was already going down. Like there was already herd immunity because people are developing their immune system. Because technically, if you have a good immune system, measles is not a problem. Most people that died from measles, similar to COVID,
Yep.
had comorbidities. So that's the problem. This is the stat that they always take out. They never mention in those type of reporting is that there was a problem with their immune system in the first place. Now, is that an argument for the whoop whoop? You know what? Maybe it is, right? Maybe those people should be more careful or get it if they believe that it works. I personally would never, but the point is that you could, and it makes sense. But why is it that why are they making, not only are they lying in their title, not only are they lying about Alberta, they're making it sound like Alberta have the most cases in North America, yet it does not. It's Ontario. And then, as you'll see, they're going to start going into the specialists. It's just they never provide the real information. And I can tell you that I spent 4 days, almost 5 days last week in the hospital. And you know what I've come to realize? There's quite a few doctors out there that realize that there's a problem about the fact that we cannot question this. Like it's not, they didn't tell me that they disagreed with vaccination. That's not what they told me, but they're like, you know, the fact that you can't even talk about it, that you're not allowed. And we're talking about doctors. We're not talking about the guy that's picking up the garbage here. We're talking about the doctors. They're like, you know, it's not normal. When I was young, we were allowed to have discussions. And this is why I keep on bringing this stuff up, is you need to have informed consent. As a citizen, you need to know the statistics. You need to be able to form your own opinion. And the fact that you can't question it is a problem. And not only that, but just there, it shows how biased they are, how they're making it sound like Alberta is the worst province in Canada for measles.
Ontario's actually worse.
It's Ontario. It has 53% more active cases right now in Ontario.
Well, and you know why? Because there's clearly an anti-Alberta bias, but also it doesn't fit the narrative, because the narrative is Alberta's anti-vax because they're more conservative. Therefore, this is the problem. But Ontario is not broadly conservative, right? Like, yes, of course, it has, you know, many of the rural areas are conservative, but it also has, you know, many very large cities, and cities are broadly speaking liberal. You know, Toronto, Ottawa are obviously quite liberal, right? So it doesn't really fit the narrative for Ontario to have so many measles cases, because you can't automatically say, oh, it's because they're conservative, right? But you can say that for Alberta, and that's the narrative. They want to be able to say, oh, it's because Alberta's conservative, and obviously conservatism is associated with the anti-vax movement, and that's exactly the dots that they want you to connect. So yeah, it's pretty slimy. I think as far as like vaccines, I take what you were just saying about the doctors. That's kind of more or less how I feel. Me and you aren't necessarily exactly on the same page. I wish there was a word for people who are anti-vax about the new mRNA vaccines, but don't really have an issue with like the 40 or 50-year-old, like the MMR vaccines, the measles, mumps, rubella, just because they've got a history of at least, you know, we know that, you know, maybe we could debate whether the benefit is worth just, you know, not, maybe it's just better just to get measles. We could debate that, but like, people aren't dropping dead from the MMR vaccine. We've been doing it for 40 or 50 years. The new ones, the mRNA vaccines, though, those are, you know, these are the ones where people are getting giant ass blood clots pulled out of their body, you know, sudden death or died suddenly, right? We've all heard that many times. And it seems like you either get lumped in, if you don't agree with every single vaccine, you're just anti-vax and you get lumped in. And I wish there was a word for it. But at the end of the day, I definitely echo. Even though, like I suspect you've probably got an issue with even the older vaccines, right? I don't necessarily have the same issue, but one thing that, you know, the common ground for us, and certainly on the show, is that absolutely nobody should ever be forced to take any sort of medication to participate in society. Informed consent has to exist, and we have to be able to discuss it. We have to be able to debate it. We have to be able to criticize any potential negative side effects, like this idea that vaccines are some magical morally good thing. No, they're just a medicine, like every other medicine. And if you're going to tell me that, oh, no, there's no downsides whatsoever, there's no negatives, right away, I know that's bullshit. Right away, my bullshit detector is way, way up. Now, if you're going to say to me, yes, of course there are downsides because it is a medication. Here's why the benefits outweigh the downsides. I can at least listen to that. But that's not what's going on, right? That's not what's happening. It is just, if you question it, you are anti-vax, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a far-right nut, and then, of course, all the other things that they associate with far-right. You're also a bigot and a fucking Nazi. You're a Trump supporter. You're a Trump supporter, you're MAGA. You'll be censored on YouTube. You'll be, now you can say it on X, but back when it was Twitter, you'd be kicked off of Twitter. And that's a serious problem. And that's that's the part of me that is sort of anti-vax, that is sort of like something's going on here. It's entirely caused by that behavior. If people allow this open discourse and just said, here's the benefits, here's the potential risks, do with it as you will, I'd be much more inclined, I think, to see things their way. But it's just, I'm old enough to know that when any side is refusing to allow debate, usually there's something else underneath the surface going on there.
I would love to be able to see the numbers of doctors that actually question it. They're tired of not being able to discuss it openly, because the doctor that admitted to that is just a regular doctor. She's a female doctor, obviously around children. 99% of people are women, which call me sexist all you want, but I do believe that women make better doctors in general and better nurses. They have that compassion that most men don't. If you look up to me to take care of you, I'm gonna call you a bitch a few times before
but my bone's sticking out of your arm, I'll fucking tie it up, you little bitch.
Yeah, your other one is working.
Yeah. You've got one arm working. Yeah, don't waste my time.
So, but you're talking about, if you saw her, I don't want to describe her, but if you saw her, she is like the last person you would expect. She almost looked like a Karen. Yet, she admitted to me, like, when nobody's around, like, because I was there 24 hours a day, right? So it was most people. There's nobody else.
A doctor recently when you were like you talked
4 days ago.
Oh, just when your son was in the hospital. Oh, okay. I thought this was someone you talked to in the past or saw on the internet or something.
3 days ago. No, that's a personal conversation I've had between 3 to 5 days ago, somewhere in there. I can't remember. My brain's still foggy, but
yep.
We were just talking and we were questioning how mismanaged. She passed a comment on mismanagement, like she hinted at mismanagement of public funds, and she was making fun of that with a nurse. She's like, "Oh, can you find this?" We can't find it. Oh wow, so surprised that our things are not well managed again. And I picked out on that. Oh, here's a board for you, and I start doing drawings. And no, I'm kidding, but I'm like, oh, somebody. So I start talking about that. And she brought it up herself.
That's interesting.
Without ever mentioning the whoop whoop. But she basically said we've come to a point where you can no longer question it, and we can't have an open discussion. You can't have an open discord. And I was talking to Ted Kuntz, the president of the board of VCC, and I was just talking to him yesterday, and I told him, I'm like, bro, I think I needed this. I think I needed to talk to doctors that seems to care, because I've become extremely disillusioned. And I would be curious for the people out there, do you still trust doctors the way you did 20 years ago or 15 years ago or even 5 years ago? Because I can tell you, man, I bet you
that number. Yeah.
Ooh, I've lost most of my respect for them. I don't trust them. If you tell me something right away, I don't trust you. Right away, like you show up with a white, your sarrau that we call them in English and French, but you show up as a doctor. I'm like, yeah, everything you're gonna say, I'm gonna take with a massive grain of salt. That pedestal that you used to have 10 years ago, you don't got it anymore. Not only don't you have a pedestal, you're starting in a hole. You need to dig yourself out of that hole for me to start listening to you. So I think I needed to meet people that cared about their patients.
Yeah. That would be an interesting statistic. How many doctors? It'd have to be an anonymous survey, because they know they could never say that. And you still hear regular stories about mothers and fathers taking their babies in, and the doctor finding out they don't want to vaccinate and really like becoming hostile. So some doctors are saying, "I won't treat you. I won't take care of your child if you don't get vaccinated," and that's wrong. That's not right. That does not even if I was a full-on pro whoop whoop, which I'm not, I would still say that is not the way to do things. Like, you can't shame people and force people into doing things, especially when they're doing it because they genuinely believe that it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? These are people who nobody is out there, being anti-vax just because it's convenient politically, deep down knowing that, you know what I mean? Like putting their child at risk so that they have social media clout. Nobody is doing that. Even if the anti-vaxxers are wrong, and I'm not saying that they are, but even if they are, they all genuinely believe that this is the best thing for their child. Shaming them is not going to do anything. It's just going to make it worse. And to answer your question, how do people, have you lost respect for the profession of doctors? I think the numbers to that would be quite high. Now, I don't think I'm quite as low as you are in esteem of doctors, but compared to where I was even 5 years ago, absolutely it's lower. No doubt.
And I would be very, very, very curious how many people have lost respect for doctors. I would love to see the numbers. Doctors, I would love to see what their main problems are. Like, anonymously, tell me what your top 3 problem is with medicine today in North America, especially, and the public. Do you still trust doctors like you did 10 years ago?
I think that number is going to be like, not most. I don't think not everybody is going to say I don't trust doctors at all, but just based on where they were 5 years ago, I think the majority, I think most people are going to say it's less. It's less than a couple of years back.
And like I said, I'm kind of happy. I try to see the positive in things. I try to see, even though something happened that I really did not enjoy, it was not pleasant. It was stressful to deal with this. It is still, I try to see the good in things. I try to see, was there a lesson for me to learn from that experience? And I came to the conclusion that it was that when I was talking to Ted yesterday, just to say, man, maybe I needed to meet doctors and nurses that actually cared.
I'm sure the number is higher than most people think who are skeptical.
Oh yeah.
Vaccines. And just because, they're not stupid, right? These are smart people, and they understand they're also being silenced, right? And there's, if you had like robust data on your side, data that could not be discredited,
irrefutable data,
exactly, thank you for that, then you would not do that. You would encourage debate. You would encourage discussion. So there's that, most people are smart enough to understand that. The people who are silencing debate are almost never as sure about their position as they say that they are.
And that's exactly the problem. This is what makes it so hard for me to believe them, because I cannot have the open conversation, because they will simply not even address it. Which, how can you ever convince me that you have the right information if I'm not able to challenge you? You can't. You just cannot. Right? You can't. But talking about this, I wanted to talk about this later on, but since we're talking about something like that, I figured I'd use this to just shove that in here. Yeah, that's right. I don't know if you heard about this guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did you ever hear about a guy called Dr. Kirk Moore?
No.
So in 2020, he refused to inject children with the mRNA shot and protected patients from government mandates. From what I read, he faked it. He said that he was injecting his patients, but it was nothing, and he would give them certificates, as in he destroyed so many vials of the COVID shot.
I heard about this guy.
He's a plastic surgeon, and under Biden, he was facing 35 years in prison. And 2 days ago, the Trump's DOJ dismissed all charges. So I wanted to talk to me, that falls in place. Like, guys like him give me hope in doctors.
U.S. Justice Department has dropped charges against the Utah plastic surgeon accused of providing fake vaccines and vaccine cards in 2023.
The instruction to drop charges came from United States Attorney General Pam Bondi. You are seeing images here of a protest in Utah supporting Dr. Michael Kirk Moore. Even though charges were dropped, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Utah alleged that Dr. Moore destroyed over $28,000 worth of government-provided COVID-19 vaccines and then distributed almost 2,000 fake vaccination cards in exchange for money or donations to specific charitable organizations. The United States Attorney General posted on X this morning about the case, saying, quote, "At my direction, the Justice Department has dismissed charges against Dr. Kirk Moore." Bondi posted on X, continuing that Dr. Moore gave his patients a choice when the federal government refused to do so. He did not deserve the years in prison he was facing. It ends today. Again, all quotes there from Pam Bondi. Senator Mike Lee also posting on X about the decision, saying, quote, "Glad that we could ensure Dr. Moore remains a free man. Thank you for standing with the countless Americans who endured too many official lies, mandates, and lockdowns during COVID," end quote.
You know, they say that not all heroes wear capes. Ding, 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 ding. That's one guy right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's good that they drop charges. Although I don't think, I think he should probably lose his license, because you can't, like, because that's taking away other people's choice. Like, people need to be able to get, like, the vaccine if they want it. If they think they're getting the vaccine and they're being injected with something that's not, I don't think that's
not what
right.
they said. No, but that's not what they said. No, on the contrary, he gave them the choice. He didn't refuse to inject people. He just, the people that did not want to get injected with it, and that did not want to lose their fucking livelihood I did. He faked it.
They knew they were getting. Oh,
yes.
Okay. Then yes,
the people were that's completely different. Not for the job could go to him, and for donation, for a donation, he would take care of it. He would fake, and he would destroy those vials.
I thought people who thought they were actually who wanted.
That's fraud. That would be fraud. But this guy is a hero because he did what his oath said. You're supposed to protect people. If people don't want it,
you can't. I don't have a problem with that at all. Then I think that was a crazy time. You know, at the time, I kind of was okay. I would never say I supported the lockdowns, but I thought they were a necessary evil. But now that we've had some time in between, we can see sort of. It's hard when you're in the middle of a crisis, right? But when you can see it from a distance, it's a lot more clear. It's pretty clear to me that was not, that was wrong. That was not the way to go about it. The lockdowns were wrong. The idea of a vaccine passport that you needed to get injected with a medication in order to participate in society, that's wrong. And I don't have any problems with a doctor helping people who knew that they were not actually getting the vaccine, who wanted to, but also, probably wanted to keep their jobs. I don't have a problem with that at all.
And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, right? Is I wish I didn't have to lose my job over this, because I was literally being told by a bunch of obese, fat, out of shape people that I needed to do something because I was putting them at risk. They're almost telling me that between 2 bites of McDonald's, right? Which all the people I used to work with are all fat fucks that eat a lot of junk food. Like, they like to get drunk on weekends, pretty much every single weekend. They like to party. They like to eat shit all the time. And they're the one telling me that I'm putting their health at risk. Like, right then and there, it's I'm just happy to see doctors like him, because you know what? If that's what you believe, if that's what you truly believe, that it will make you safer, no problem. I really don't care. You remember the Tide Pods challenge?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
bro, no problem. If you think that somehow makes you smarter, go for it. You should take an extra one for me.
What, the Tide
But-
Pods?
Yeah, exactly. If you remember those guys that would do that and film themselves and then
what would they do?
put that
Eat-
on TikTok.
eat-
Yeah,
eat-
exactly, and
eat the
react to
Tide
it.
Pods? Oh,
Oh, I'm gonna eat poison and see what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, you fucking tard. But the point is that when I was seeing people do it, that's what I was seeing. I'm saying, you know what? You want to do that to yourself? No problem. I don't have a problem with that. I don't care. You're an adult. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yep.
But for you to have the audacity to tell me that I need to follow suit or else I'm losing everything, that's fucking bullshit. Because you've
That's
never
wrong.
cared about you've never cared about your health. Have you noticed
Yeah.
that most of the guys that are anti-vaxxers are mostly all in shape? All the people take care of themselves. They're holistic people that normally are very much into meditation, into ayahuasca, into
Yep.
if you start digging into the people and the 10% of people that stood up, they're normally people that do a lot more than not take vaccines, because they already take their health extremely at heart.
Yeah.
But to have a bunch of people that now for the first time in your life you care, bro.
Well, one of the takeaways I got from this whole mess was that the COVID, like the virus, the response, the vaccines, all of it very quickly became decoupled from any actual concern about health. Very quickly, it was no longer about health at all. It was about politics. It was about your mask signaled that where you sat politically. Especially when the mandates went away, right? When we all had to wear them, okay, that's one thing. But as soon as they went away, you immediately knew someone's politics if they had a mask on, and that is a massive failure on our leaders' part, because a health crisis should never be politicized by that, and it absolutely was, and it was so politicized that I suspect it would be impossible to not politicize any future similar health crisis like that. Let's say, and there's a reason why this is really bad. Like COVID was absolutely over. The fear that they put into us was not proportional to the risk. But let's say a virus does come along, that, you know, remember we had that doctor on here as a guest, and who said viruses aren't even real. I mean, like, I don't believe that. I think viruses are a real thing. But let's say we had something that actually was, you know, killing 50% of the people, and it spread like COVID. You know, then maybe some sort of a lockdown might have been appropriate, but you can't do that anymore. Like, I personally, I'd be out there marching any lockdown, no matter what, just because I don't trust them anymore. They destroyed so much trust, and it is really poisoned the well for any future sort of cooperation in society, even if it might actually be somewhat appropriate. So, I mean, you know, thanks guys, appreciate that, but you know, it's there really is no scenario I can envision where we could ever have another lockdown, because I think people would be out in the streets in mass numbers. I know there are definitely people who think that the way that society more or less went along with it at COVID means that's how we would always react, and maybe that's true. But I think that it's just as possible, just as likely, that society did learn something. I know I have to imagine there are people, like a lot of people like me out there, who maybe thought it was a necessary evil at the time, who weren't necessarily out there protesting it, but who would be now if it happened again.
That's what I hear. Do I trust that or not in the face of fear?
Well, yeah, we'll never know until it happens. For sure.
Because I've lost a lot of faith in humanity during that time, and not in a way where I don't care, I'm not compassionate, but I've lost a lot of faith, as in all it took is low cold for people to be scared shitless. When literally, as soon as they announced it, I did 5 minutes of research to understand that they were selling a lie. That's all it took me. That's all it took. N92, just look up. All I did, N95, size of filter. COVID virus, size of the COVID virus. It is half the size. The filter on the mask are 0.5 micron. The COVID is 0.25. So no matter the face diaper you want to wear, unless you're taking the big one with the massive filters that you need to change, like you've seen on hazmat suits, your face diaper doesn't prevent you from getting it. All it does, it prevents you from infecting other shit, and it makes you look prettier, because we don't get to stare at your ugly face. We just see your eyes. But outside of that, so it took me 2 seconds to realize that. And I'm just like, okay, hold on. There's something going on. I called a couple of friends of mine, a doctor and a nurse. I'm like, hey man, what's that thing? Have you got, and we're talking March 2020, when I have my loaded shotgun almost, thinking there's zombies coming, right? And they're like, oh man, we've been dealing with that for months. We've been dealing with that since October last year. It's going to become part of life. There's nothing we can do about it. We're going to have to learn to deal with it, just like the common cold that comes up with new variations every year. So I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys telling me here? So the whole rest to me was just a fucking, when you see the clown show, like people that are trying to be, exactly. So people are talking, all I'm hearing, and that was the left, that was the right. Again, it's not a political thing. I've seen as much crap on Fox News as I did on MSNBC when it came to that. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys saying?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with you. We'll take some of these comments here, because we're actually getting some great ones.
Oh yeah, let's kill it. Let's kill the conversation. I don't have anything else to say.
No,
I have a lot to say.
All kinds, but yeah, we'll cut ourselves short.
Yes.
This is one of your rabbit holes. Like the trans thing is mine. This is one of yours.
Oh, 100 It's what started me creating content, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly, right. So we'll go back and take from the beginning. But before we do that, I just want to take this one from Detective Gaines, because I thought this was a really good comment here. He said, "This is nihilistic of me, but the next virus that comes through, let it take its course. Part of the human genome contains RNA from ancient viruses." So that's a great comment. And I remember thinking when the COVID thing first came out, especially when I found out who was really at risk here, overwhelmingly, the number was 1% mortality rate, but that number was highly skewed, because it was like a 5 or 1%. It was like a 5 or 6%, or maybe even 10 or 15% mortality rate for people like 80 and older. But if you were like 60 or younger, it was like 0.14 or whatever. It was really, really low. And I was thinking, of course, I don't want anyone to die. I don't want old people to die. I don't want that. But life is sometimes brutal, right? And I think the analogy that made a lot of sense to me, and what we talked about forest fires the other day, the best way to maintain a healthy fire is
get rid of the old.
You get rid of you have a burn because if not, then it builds up and it causes a giant forest. And of course, forest fires themselves are destructive, but they're actually in the long term and even medium term quite healthy for the actual forest. And again, I'm with Gaines. I know it sounds very nihilistic, and there are definitely people who would disagree with me, but it probably would have actually been medium term and long term better for the species to have that. I know this is very dehumanizing to say, but clear out the dead wood. But as Gaines says, much of our, of course, if you are a low immune system person, it's bad. But the people who survive it, and the vast majority would have survived it, it actually benefits the species, because we've now got that immunity built into our DNA. There's a reason why when the Europeans came
in BC.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great example. The Europeans, when they came over here to the New World, in the 1500s, and by far, like I know that the leftists think that they were just slaughtering everyone, and they point to the death rate. Most of it was from disease, and it wasn't necessarily that the Europeans were trying to give them disease. It's just because they were coming in contact with them. They were trading with them. They were just interacting with them. And the fact is, any of the Europeans alive in the 1400s were the descendants of people who survived massive epidemics, the Black Death, bubonic plague. So they were just healthier. They had a better immune system. Doesn't make them better people, of course, but like if you had to pick and choose, would you rather be a European in the 1400s or an indigenous person? At least as far as if your framework is who is healthier, who has a stronger immune system, who is more fit, it's the Europeans, and not because they're again, better people or more moral. It's just because they were the descendants of people who lived through many, many, many epidemics.
Now, can you imagine if the Europeans would have had the respect to invent masks?
Yes, if only they have masks.
But see, what you're talking about is when masks are needed. It's not to prevent the person that's wearing a mask to get infected. It's to prevent your nasty saliva from infected other people. This is what, when you see a doctor, like those masks that everybody was wearing, they're meant for doctors.
Yep.
The doctors are not fucking wearing the mask while doing surgeries, not to get infected by the patient. It's so that they don't put their nasty shit into the patient, and maybe they don't want blood in their mouth from cutting open people. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that I've always found that very interesting. Oh, you're not wearing a mask, you don't care about other people. Actually, bro, you're selfish by wearing a mask, because the only person you protect is yourself. That is the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So, fatty, eat McDonald's, shut the fuck up. Sorry.
And Gaines continues, forest fires are the planet's way of healing forests. We either control the burns or we let nature do it. And I actually think forest fires is a great analogy to use here, because they are
get rid of the old people. I get it. I get it.
They are destructive, and it's appropriate that we try to prevent forest fires. But that said, you can't shut down the world to do it, and there's actually some benefits to it, right? Like if I had elderly parents that were 70 or 80 plus, I absolutely would try to do everything I could to sort of keep them away from crowds and blah blah blah. That's appropriate.
Their pensions, their power of attorney.
Yes, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, their wills, update their wills. But it is not appropriate to shut down all society to protect this very tiny overall but vulnerable minority. And that is, we rag. This is an anti-woke podcast. Even as a liberal, I'm an anti-woke liberal, and that is the woke mindset, where every like the tiny minority that's vulnerable, the rest of society has to cater to this tiny minority. That can't be the way that we structure society. And I say that as someone who has all the sympathy in the world for vulnerable people. But unfortunately, life just isn't fair. If you're a vulnerable, immune compromised person, that's unfortunate. I have
Stay home.
I have all the sympathy in the world. And if I were married to someone like that, I would probably put her on some sort of lockdown, right? But I don't expect all society to lock themselves down. You know what I mean?
In the kitchen, where she belongs, right?
Lock her down barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, of course. We are joking, of course. But it's just...
Joking, right.
And it's not about being cold or callous. It's about you just understanding life isn't always fair. There are always going to be vulnerable people, and you cannot structure all of society to cater to a tiny, vulnerable minority. It does not work.
And it comes back, I'll wrap it back to the measles we were talking about. Yep. You have another situation where the survival rate is higher than 98%. 98%. COVID was 90 something, and it was mostly old people and people with 3+ comorbidities. So people that are just waiting for something to be the last straw. Just like AIDS, right? AIDS didn't kill you. It just destroyed your immune system. So whatever else came around, that's what did it for you.
You were susceptible to it, yes.
Surprisingly enough, the same guy that pushed his medication against the 8 people that killed so many, AZT, I think it's called, was the same guy that pushed that mRNA vaccination on us. Dr. Fauci.
Oh,
it's the same guy. It's the same fuck. Yes, it's the same guy that dealt with both situations. So
very interesting.
But he comes back. But I like what you're saying. I like what Detective Gaines is saying too, because at the end of the day, we're trying to protect people that wouldn't survive. And I've been saying,
and that's unfortunate.
But I've been saying this for decades, man. We need a situation where the strong survive, because now we have the weak reproducing play time and time again. And what does the weak create? Other fucking weaker
genes.
Exactly my point. Instead of having strong people survive, this is a terrible example, but I've said that to some of my black friends, and I fucking think it's hilarious. But Why do you think? Have you ever hung out with guys from Africa and what they call African American? See the difference in genetics? You look at the average African, has a body type similar to the average white guy in North America.
Yeah.
Look at the guys that you can. You look at the average black guy that comes from the slaves trade, the slave generations, bro. We treated them like dogs. We literally took the best genetic female, best genetic male,
survived. Yeah.
And now you have. You think it's a coincidence that the NBA is mostly black guys? You think it's a coincidence that the fastest guys in the NFL, black guys? You think most of the sprinters are black guys? Like, that's how they were treated. And I'm not saying we were right to do that. That's not what I'm saying. But
it's just how it worked out. Yeah, that's just factual.
Imagine that smart people would reproduce with smart people. Genetically gifted people would reproduce.
That's often what happens, right? In reality, yeah. That's why often smart people often have smart kids. But you just there has to be some, like, no one is saying like, oh, just throw vulnerable people to the wolves. No one's saying that. It's just we cannot rearrange society and put everyone else at a massive disadvantage just to protect vulnerable people, because vulnerable people have always existed and they always will exist, and that's unfortunate. But sometimes life just isn't fair. This is hold on
before you address this. Yes, I have seen Idiocracy.
It's a great.
Did you ever realize
that's a great movie?
Did you realize? Oh, but you know the funniest thing about this? Did you notice the shoes that they're wearing in the future? Do you remember?
Yep.
Do you remember what the shoes?
Wait. The shoes? No, I don't remember that.
They're Crocs. And back then, Crocs was a failing company that could not sell their products. And by the time Idiocracy was released, Crocs had been fucking Bumpy Johnson's
bumpy nose.
But by the time Idiocracy was released, the Crocs were popular, and the guys chose the Crocs because it's like there's no fucking idiots out there that will actually wear this crap. And by the time they released the movie, everybody had a pair.
Well, it's certainly it's certainly they come into their own.
I have a pair.
That's like, well, there was so many things that it seems more like a documentary at this point than a fantastical movie. Michael DeVos, or maybe Michelle. I'm a center liberal. Michel Devaux. I'm a center liberal, and I'm anti-liberal woke because I'm voting for Pierre Poilievre during the election. I want change. The liberal wins again, and still the same bastard leaders. Michelle, thank you for tuning in. I believe this is the first time commenting.
Michelle, Rob, Michelle.
Exactly. The reason I took this comment is, like I said, I think this is your first time here. Thanks for commenting. Hopefully you stick around. But this is I could have written this. This is exactly how I would describe myself: a anti-woke liberal, common sense liberal. I also voted for Pierre Poilievre, not because I like the guy, but I just think the left has to be essentially burned down to the fucking ground, and we need us. When I say us, I mean common sense liberals and progressives need to rebuild it piece by piece. Does this work? Let's keep it. Does this work? No, let's fucking toss it. And if the liberals keep winning, that will never happen. So that's why I strategically voted for Poilievre. I think, the liberals are going the wrong way. Just the political left is going the wrong way, and they need to lose and lose badly. In the States, they're on the right track with Kamala Harris losing badly. Now they need to lose. Now, one bad loss is not enough for the woke left who have their claws sunk into the political left for them to be discredited. They'll say you still hear them. Oh, it's just because America's too racist, too sexist to have a woman of color as president. No, it's because she's a fucking moron and her policies are retarded. That is why. But two big losses, for president will probably be enough there. The fact that the liberals won here means we reset our clock. If they lose big in the next one, they'll still have the same. Oh, it's just because we weren't left enough. So then I think the left needs to lose two big elections in a given country before real change will happen. So, I mean, welcome to the show. Hopefully you stick around, but you sound exactly like where I stand.
As soon as you started answering, I've heard this answer so many times. I got up, I went to
Yeah.
kiss my son, maybe look if I still have coffee in the
You know,
pot.
yeah, you're like, I've got about 3 minutes.
Oh,
I've got
okay,
about 3 minutes.
I'll
yeah.
be back.
So,
But yeah,
should we take-
Michelle, if the whole point, Michelle, just so you know, is that I'm a conservative, he's a liberal, and we talk
common
about most subjects that normally both sides will not engage on. We normally disagree on those subjects, but it turns out that you can disagree with common sense. And if you're looking for a place for common sense when you can have that discord, this is or that discourse, sorry, it's exactly the place to be. So welcome.
Yep. Yeah, and guys, if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. As Nico was saying, this is the format. We are a common sense liberal and a conservative, discussing the topics of the day, finding common ground where we can, disagreeing respectfully where we cannot. And one thing that is actually pretty surprising, when you get common sense people together, whether they're on the left or the right, you actually find that we can find common ground probably about 80%, more often than not, which is, if you listen to the media, you know, and most online discourse about politics, you think that that's crazy. We are, of course, have to hate the other side. We're each other's enemies. And the reason we created this show is to model a different sort of discourse, to get away from that, which is, we believe, fundamentally a toxic way to discuss politics.
There's another reason why you would be here is if you're like me and you hate everybody equally.
Yeah. If you just hate everyone equally, that also works. We've got a few of those too. Joe Stradamus is
it's a good place for you.
Sean says, Sean, also, I think you might be new. Welcome. He says, if it's about having a woman as president, then Republicans should run a woman. And if the Democrats don't vote for her and run a male candidate, then they are the sexist, racist party. That's how it would go according to Democratic logic. Of course, you know that they wouldn't actually go along with that. And the fact of the matter is, I actually believe that probably the more likely first female president and more
it's
likely
going to be a Republican.
It's going to be a Republican, right? And same is true for Prime Minister in Canada. It's more likely, I think, that the Conservative Party
Daniel Smith
wins. And some of that is because of some DEI bullshit. Daniel Smith. You know that if there's a woman that is high up in the Republican or Conservative Party, there's a good chance that they're there because of competence, because of merit. And they, like Daniel Smith, highly, highly competent. And not to say there aren't competent female liberal politicians. I'm sure that there are, but we all know that we all know
Mélanie
that,
Joly.
we all know that. Yeah, or Kamala Harris herself. We all know that merit and competence just is not a factor in the rise to, if you want to rise in through the ranks of the Liberal Party or the Democratic Party.
Detective Gaines is banging on again.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Kim Campbell, technically.
And for liberal, you're so smart, Detective.
we have very, very smart listeners. That is another thing that's a great aspect of this show is, and that's, and that's because of, I think, some of the culture that has been created here, where no one really gives a shit if you're on the left or the right. All we give a shit here about is that you show your work. If you can defend your argument, you've got a place here, and typically it's only intelligent people who actually think about an issue enough to be able to defend it. Most of it's just slogans, right? Most of political discourse is just people coming in, slogans and trolls. And if you're a longtime watcher, you'll see that, it's fairly regular. Someone comes in here spouting off and like, oh, you guys are this, you guys are that. And we'll often call them on it. Like, okay, no, like, tell us how we're wrong. Don't just sit there and say, oh, we're this or that. Tell us how we're wrong. And oftentimes some of these guys will stick around and become regular listeners. So, I think that's one of the great things about this show. Sean says,
Amen.
I believe that as well. And in Canada, the first female PM was actually conservative. Yeah, as Gaines said that.
Again, smart commenters.
Yeah, Therese says, welcome, Michel Deveau. Is a mature discussion, and that's it's a great way to describe it. That is all we're trying to do here. We clearly aren't going to agree on everything, but when we disagree, we're going to do it respectfully. And the argument is always king here. If you can show your work, if you can defend your argument, if you can persuade people, then you're gonna you have a place here. This is a place. This is a show for you.
Let's. You want to switch to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on.
Let's move on, and that one's for Michel Deveau since he's here.
Yep.
somebody that voted for Pierre Poilievre in the past
Sure.
election
Sure.
because he could not, just like you said multiple times, right? He could not, in good conscience, warrant
for the
another
Liberal.
liberal. Just couldn't do it. Couldn't warrant it in their mind. And fuck, believe me, I get it. But yesterday, Mr. Pierre Poilievre released a video where he criticizes Mark Carney, who skipped every meeting because Brookfield is on the agenda. So basically, he released a video talking about Mark Carney's 103 conflict of interest as per the ethics commissioner.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you guys out there, because Michel, you might not know this because it's your first time. You'll see how I feel about Pierre Poilievre as a conservative. But as somebody, for the people out there, the videos for the people out there that voted for Pierre Poilievre, yep. Tell me if this is who you want as PM. The video I'm going to show you right now was released yesterday. So tell me if this is the guy that could save Canada.
On Friday, we finally got a look at the Prime Minister's many financial interests that he kept carefully hidden throughout the election and about which he told numerous falsehoods during that same campaign. And so these are what the revelations tell us. One, that Mr. Carney was not upfront or honest with Canadians during the election. He made numerous false statements he would have known were false when he made them. Two, there is a cornucopia of conflicts of interest in these investments, like we have never seen before from a Canadian Prime Minister. Let me go through and document all of these claims one by one. First of all, during the election campaign, Mr. Carney said, and I quote, "I own nothing but cash and personal real estate, and that's not going to change in public life." Well, it turns out while he said that, he knowingly owned 574 stocks and deferred profits and stock options in Brookfield and other companies. So it was patently and now provably false for him to say he owned nothing but cash and real estate. Two, my assets are now in a blind trust, so I don't know what exactly is in there. That too is false. He must have known what was in that blind trust because he was the one that filled out the paperwork for the ethics commissioner to report those holdings. So he knew exactly what was in his blind trust, and he just did not want Canadians to know before they went to the polls. Finally, he said, and I quote, "I do not have a connection with Brookfield Asset Management." Well, it turns out that he has continuing stock options and deferred share units in Brookfield Asset Management.
Mentioned that
these options cannot be sold, or at least not easily, and we have no reason to believe they have been. So when he said that he had no connection to Brookfield, he was stating a patent falsehood.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, why should we care? Why should Canadians care about this? Well, Mr. Carney has shown in the past his willingness to use his political connections in order to profit himself. For example, he said, let's see here.
So this video goes on for 5.5 minutes. I basically agree with everything that he says on paper. If he wrote a long post, I would have read it. I would have said, you know what? Cool. I agree with you. I've said a lot worse. And at the end, I'll resume it, but at the end, he asks Mark Carney to sell all of his assets, take them in cash, and then put them back in a blind trust so that he really has no idea what's in there. I get it. Fuck, he's boring. God damn, he's boring. No, but seriously, I watched it all this morning, and I'm just like I want to put this into perspective. Did you realize that the flags in the back are fake?
I didn't know.
No, but if you look at it, I created enough content.
Now they look at it, they don't sit very naturally. Yeah.
The only thing that's real in this is Pierre Poilievre and whatever the thing that's in front of him. See how there's no conservative, there's nothing written on it. So that's probably recorded in front of a green screen somewhere. He has no microphone control. Like he keeps on going like this and coming back. So it's not live. There's no audience in front of it. If there were, where's the audience? He's not elected right now. So he's not talking for a party. So when you start looking, you know, we've criticized him, like, however you feel about Pierre Poilievre, you like him, like, where was it?
Sean?
Somebody in there. Yeah, no, was it Sean?
I think
Yes,
so.
like Sean is saying, he should be PM and will be, and needs to make bold changes as fast as sweeping as Trump does. Okay, you know what? I agree. I don't agree that he'll ever be president. I don't get it. But the point in the matter is that this is why he lost. Videos like this is exactly why he lost. Like, where's the passion, bro? Where's the passion? Where is the passion? You're literally recording. Again, he's trying to make it look professional, but by doing this, he makes it sound so boring, so disconnected. So he doesn't care. Do you feel like he cares in there? He's literally reading off of a paper. He keeps on looking down because he's reading notes. This is what bothers me so much about videos like this is, where's the passion? Where is the fucking passion?
I mean, like, I thought that individual speech was okay in a vacuum. He seemed to be serious. He seemed to be taking it. I actually think, like, I don't think that it would have been beneficial for him to be like screaming and pounding. There's a time and a place for that kind of energy. He doesn't have that ability even when it's appropriate. I think in this, sort of somber, you know, trying to be serious. I think that's probably an okay take. And if I didn't know him at all, if I didn't know anything about him, I might think, oh, okay, that was a reasonable speech. It's just when you do know him, you understand so much of what he does is just sort of sloganeering. It's just he's good at reading a teleprompter. I guess I don't even know.
There's no teleprompter there because he's actually reading off of his notes. If you notice, he keeps on looking down. Yeah, you can hear.
I mean,
you cannot. That's why having pieces of paper as a note is a very bad idea, because if you pay attention, you can hear the shuffling of the paper together. So he's reading off of a piece of paper.
I don't have an issue. I thought that speech itself was okay. I thought it was fine. But the problem is what he tends to do is he'll say something, like he'll call out Carney on something, and then that's it. You don't hear about it again. Like, this is the kind of thing he should be giving some sort of a, if it's not a speech like that, making a fucking do a social media, go live. He should be tweeting. He should be hammering this, beating this drum every single day. Because this, to me, is a pretty serious thing. This is, these are like, I
very fucking serious.
Yeah, I always try to look at stuff. When you hear stuff like this, I'm like, okay, is this just the left being idiots? Is this just the right trying to make something out of nothing? But this is not a nothing burger. These are very legitimate conflicts of interest. And, I think it's appropriate to take a serious tone. But I suspect now that he's made, like, he's got his team saying, okay, you got to do a video about that, check in on the box. And now we probably won't hear about it again. But this is the kind of thing that needs to be beaten. Like that drum needs to be beaten again and again. And where was that during the campaign? Because this isn't entirely surprising. I mean, we talked about
it back in March when he first released. Yeah. March 14th is the date he released his first time about his blind trust, and we were talking about it since then.
And we really zeroed in on the way he responded to those two women who asked him the questions, the famous "look inside yourself, Rosemary," and the other one that he responded to, right? I don't have any point final. Yeah, point final. Like, it was an unusual and unnecessarily hostile enough response to what are absolutely reasonable questions that I think anybody with any sort of political sense should have been able to say, there's something there. There's some there. And like me and you, we picked up on it. We talked about it. We also are not running for, we weren't running for prime minister as the head of the Conservative Party. We don't have access to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of money that can be spent on paying people to dig up this kind of information. Like, it's called oppo research, right? Opposition research. This is what politics is today. Like, Carney's responses in that interview pointed us all to the direction of where there was some real potential wrongdoing. Why did he not have his dirt diggers going and looking for this? Because I guarantee you, if they dug deep enough, there would have been a way to find this information out during the campaign.
So look at this. This ran live yesterday. Like, the video I just showed is 21 minutes, 48 seconds. But Here's what's funny. Here's what I find funny. No passion in there whatsoever. You couldn't pay me enough to watch the full 22-minute video. Yet, I like those. Claim, I own nothing but cash and personal real estate. Fact, Mark Carney
Yeah.
disclosure proves he... See, this to me,
That's
fucking
effective.
impactful.
That's
This-
effective. That's effective. Yeah.
but see, but this is exactly my point. This is exactly my fucking point. He keeps on putting unpassionate videos out there because he just doesn't have it in him to be the passionate type of politician. And this is not, I'm not saying that Mark Carney is better. Mark Carney is evil as shit, if you ask me. That dude is fucking dangerous. Very fucking dangerous. So I'm not ripping into Pierre to make Carney look good, because absolutely fucking not. But the point is that, is this really who you want as a conservative? And that's why I asked for the people out there, the people like you, Rob, and Sean, I believe, or it was Michelle that voted
Michelle, yeah.
for Pierre Poilievre.
Yep.
Is that really what you want? Is that the type of guy you want? You know how I feel about him, but it's irrelevant. I'm no doubt about it that I would have rather have Pierre Poilievre than Mark Carney. No questions about it. But at the same time, is this to me, this is the reason why he lost. Exactly this type of speech right there.
There are different ways a politician can be successful. Charisma, like just pure charisma, is one of them for sure. I don't necessarily expect that in every single politician, right? There are other ways that you can be successful even if you have no charisma. You can be strong on policy. You can just be courageous. You can just be authentic. You can say what you mean and actually have put some thought into it and not worry about what the latest focus groups are saying. With Poilievre, he doesn't really have anything. So yeah, you're correct. He doesn't really have the charisma. He doesn't have the passion. But there are ways that he could still be effective without that. So it's not like that's the only way to do it. But he doesn't have the other things either. You can tell everything he says. It's like he's trying. You can see the triangulation in his mind, trying to say just the right thing to offend the least amount of people based on the latest focus groups on the issue. And that's exactly the kind of just inauthentic political nonsense that people are sick of. Like, you don't have to be right all the time, but people will value a politician who just says what he means and doesn't really give a shit if it's popular in this exact moment. As long as, if it's a well thought out, it's kind of like we were just saying a few minutes ago. It doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, we're going to have disagreements on this show. Not everyone's going to be right all the time, but if you can just, if we can see where you're coming from because you've laid out your argument, that's all that we're really asking for. And people, they will cut you slack as a politician if you make a mistake, if you say the wrong thing, if maybe you say something that you don't mean, or you have a policy that's less than ideal. But people will really value authenticity, a politician who has the courage to just say what he means. And there's so few politicians who do that. And for example, Donald Trump, like him or hate him, and there's lots of people who do both. One thing that I think is one of the reasons for his meteoric rise is he does do that. He does have that. He doesn't really give a shit. He says what he means, and people value that, even if they don't necessarily agree with everything he says.
Well said, man.
Yeah.
And the question was for you, right? And I'm curious to see what the people see, what the people are saying out there.
We'll take some comments here in a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I think, but yeah, like, I agree with I understand the aspect. Like, not everyone is going to be this soaring orator, right? Like Barack Obama is a great example of a politician who just
as much as I dislike Obama, he was a great orator,
brilliant orator. And that's
same thing with Bill Clinton. I saw Bill Clinton live about 12 years ago. He was in Ottawa. He was just giving a presentation, like sitting, chilling on a chair with an interviewer in front of people. I dislike Clinton, but god damn, I understand why Lewinsky was on her knees, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll take a couple of these comments here. So Sean, you already took the one. He should be PM now. It will be, but needs to make bold changes as fast as sweeping as Trump does. I did want to add that I don't know if Poilievre's got that in him. He seems like he'll certainly be better than Carney. but I don't know that he's the bold sort of change maker.
No.
I think he's more of a, I think his style of leadership would have worked in a different time when there wasn't a need to really aggressively rein in the other side, when both sides maybe were not that far apart. But today, I'm not sure. But again, I voted for him. More of a a lesser of two evils thing. So I'm not saying he would be terrible. I think he would be better than Carney, but I'm not sure that he would do the bold action that might be necessary. He would certainly probably stop the bleeding, and I guess maybe that's the best we can hope for. Bumpy responds to Sean. He says, Sean, if Poilievre was PM, it would just be conservative donors getting rich. No changes coming for Canada. And that's, that's also an equally valid take from the other side. Bumpy says Carney has no charisma. Charisma is a strong Canadian, or not a strong Canadian trait. And Detective Gaines had a good comment here responding to that. He said, yeah, but he's the right kind of boring. Carney is a PC from a classical perspective. Carney's conservative. I think that's why the Libs won. And I actually agree with this, Gaines. I think Carney is boring. He doesn't have exciting charisma, but he's the right kind of boring. He's got that adult in the room vibe to him. Now, whether that's actually true, I don't know, but that is the perception that he gives when he speaks. He's got that feeling like, I'm an experienced person. I've got the right temperament. I'm the guy you want in the crisis. And we can debate and discuss whether it's actually true or not, because I
clearly it's not true.
But I do believe that is the vibe that he gives off. That is the perception. And in politics, perception very often becomes reality. And I think you're right. I think the Libs won because I actually thought he would be more on home as head of the Conservative Party, just based on not necessarily his politics, his policies, based on his demeanor, the way he projects himself. Of course, if he were head of the Conservative Party, he probably wouldn't have many of the policies that he does. But he, I think that he is. He has that vibe of, again, I'll use the term adult in the room. And again, whether that's true or not, he effectively gave that, he played that role effectively in the during the campaign. I think he's a much better politician than Poilievre.
If you've ever worked in the corporate world with upper management, that's what he sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
I've worked in the corporate world for 20 years prior to COVID, and
100%.
He sounds like all the VPs that I've ever worked with in sales. He sounds like they're full of shit. They know they're full of shit.
But they sound like they know what they're talking about.
If you don't know better, they sound like they know what they're talking about. As much as incorrect as they are.
Yep.
There's as much as I dislike fucking Carney, I understand why his bullshit worked. It blows my mind that it's still working, but at the same time, he does. You're right by saying he sounds. I'm not saying that he is, because he definitely isn't, but he sounds like the adult in the room, and that's what the boomers want. They want that type of politician. But clearly, if you look at the exit polls, that's not what the younger generations want.
No.
And this again was, we didn't talk about this, but this was a great place where Pierre Poilievre could have played. And I don't understand why he's still not playing it, because he has nothing to lose now. He's going on August 18th. He's going to have a by-election.
He didn't course correct whatsoever at all.
He can win in Alberta by saying whatever the fuck he wants that is so far right that the left will fucking hate him. Who cares? He can't lose in Alberta. He can't. He just cannot lose in the riding in Alberta where he's having a by-election, and he's still not course correcting. Absolutely right. He's still not doing it.
He was so far ahead in the polls when it was Trudeau.
Can you imagine if he showed up in a t-shirt? Can you imagine he just showed up in a t-shirt, left his wife at home for once, and just showed up just like a dude?
Well,
just like a fucking dude.
If he had the charisma to look authentic and natural. But you know what he would look like? He would look like a politician in a suit who was told that the latest focus groups show a 12% increase in likability if he had a t-shirt on. He would look unnatural and inauthentic. But I know what you mean. If he could pull it off, if he could put on a t-shirt and just feel like he's just a regular guy, you can't. He gives me the vibe of someone who wears a suit to bed. You know what I mean? Like he's just like you heard people call. You've heard people be called, oh, he's a suit. He's a suit.
Yeah,
That is Pierre Poilievre, right? I'm sure he wears t-shirts and jogging pants, but it's hard
Have
to
you ever
imagine
watched
him.
How I Met Your Mother?
That's one with the Doogie Howser guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
The gayest guy in real life, but he's a woman.
Neil
Massive-
Patrick.
Yes,
Neil Patrick
and in that show, he's always wearing a suit, right? You never see him. Out of
Yes,
the suit.
yeah.
And one day they knock at his door at night. He actually has a night suit. He's still wearing a suit with a tie, but it's made of a different material. But he's still wearing a suit. So
Yeah. That's funny. That's exactly like him. Bumpy says, Nico, just a Frenchman longing for passion. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's part of it too.
I don't think that was Nico. I don't think that was Nico. It's just nice. Just a Frenchman longing for passion. Whatever it is, he was talking about.
Referring to you either way.
I'm a passionate guy, bro. That's the thing, right? If you follow me on Instagram, you see the type of stuff that I post about, and even like people will tell me that I'm too passionate. I'm like that in real life. I'm an extremely passionate person. When I do something, I do it 1,000,000,000%. I just expect that from my leaders. I expect that from the people that are going to represent my best interest, that they care. I want them to be passionate. I want them to be authentic. I want them to show me that they fucking care. And I never fucking see it. The only politician right now in Canada, like on the grander scheme of things, like obviously I don't know every single conservative and liberal MPs out there, but the only person that gives me that vibe that cares is Danielle Smith. Lover or hater,
you can tell she cares.
She is just
for Alberta. And
100%, 100%. And is it too fucking much to ask that our politicians care? Because or else, why are you in it? And that's always the question, right? I believe that public service should cost you something. You shouldn't get rich by being a public servant. You should lose something in order. You should put the public in front of your personal need. The people that should be in politics are the people that are compassionate, that care about others, that knows that they have strength that the average individual does not have, and they're ready to take it on the chin for them. That is what politicians should be all about. And I don't see it. I don't give a fuck where you're looking right now. I don't see it. And it bothers me that our own conservatives are not more pissed off at this, that they're not fucking throwing shit, that they're not breaking shit up. Because, you know, man, if you're in a situation where you're not hurting right now, like a lot of Canadians out there, I understand that you're not passionate about it, just like the boomers are. Because they're not affected by what's going on. They're not affected by the past 10 years of liberal policies. But if you really believe that this is a problem, that you're the man to change it, you have to be. We're in a time where you need somebody that cares. If you want somebody different from the liberal, find somebody that cares as a conservative, that is authentic, that will speak the truth, that's not worried about what mainstream media, the liberal arm, the propaganda arm of the Liberal Party will say about you, and just fuck shit up. We're at a point where we need somebody that's ready to fuck shit up, and time again, he's not. He proves that he's not that guy. Every time. It just pisses me off because he has such a great potential to be that guy, but he doesn't seem to want to step it up. And it pisses me off because I know people that know him that worked on his campaign, and supposedly that in real life he's not like that. He's actually quite likable in real life, but it doesn't. Is it on purpose that he's not like that? Is it that it doesn't translate, or he's just not ballsy enough to take the plunge? And no matter what it is, it's wrong, and we need somebody else at the head of the Conservative Party because he is not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, hard to argue with. Robin says it all depends who he's talking to. He's not talking to his base here, talking about Poilievre and that speech there. And I think that's probably correct. Robin says he is addressing liberal voters and the frustrations with their leader. Yeah, like I said, if this is a decision to sort of be like the serious, so try to convey that this is serious. Okay, sure. I can get on board with that. But really, I think more important than presentation, although presentation is important, is strategy. Is this a one-off? Is this the last we heard about it? Like, now that he's checked the box, I did the thing about the corruption, or is he going to hammer this every single day? Because that's how propagandists and advertisers, who are basically one and the same, they understand that is how you persuade. It isn't really through your brilliant logic. It's by fucking hammering them every single day, again and again and again and again and again and again. And eventually, that is how you persuade the masses. That is how you get. Remember, most people are not free thinkers. Most people are not critical thinkers. Most people are sheep, and they just in the information space we live in. If you hear the same thing again and again and again, eventually you think, oh, okay, it must be true, whether that's actually true or not. And that's actually kind of a very dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous flaw in human psychology, but it exists, and you may as well exploit it. You may as well use it. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, because this is, again, there's some meat on this bone. This is legitimate conflict of interest. This is a legitimate potential scandal. And that thing that you showed where he said, here's what Carney said, here's the truth, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's effective.
Yes.
Hammer that again and again and again and again. And eventually you will see those numbers, those approval numbers from Mark Carney start to come down, even among the Liberal base.
And see, here's my point. So we all know, if you're conservative, Mario Zelaya, and he's praising Pierre Poilievre like he's done something great in that video. Like, he's even saying, I can't wait for the summer break to be over and watch him eviscerate Carney in the House. Like, you know what? I think Carney is going to make easy work out of Pierre Poilievre.
I think in all else being equal, I think Carney's the more skilled. He's a better politician, and I think he's probably.
It pisses me off to admit to that. It pisses me off. But if logically, I believe that Mark Carney in an argument with Pierre Poilievre will make Pierre Poilievre look stupid.
I think so too.
Because it's unfortunate to say that Carney's more passionate about his bullshit. He's a fucking liar through and through, but he's passionate about it. I
think Carney's smarter too. I think
unfortunately, you're right. Unfortunately,
if you remove them from like the teleprompters and the slogans, and they just have to go back and forth, and much of it becomes going on the fly, I think Carney has a big advantage. I think
out of shits and giggles, did you ever see this video? Because I was just looking on Pierre Poilievre's stuff, and this is his. So Justin Bonnie Clichley, the independent candidate in Battle River Crowfoot, running against Pierre Poilievre, speaks on power and politics. Pierre doesn't know jack about this writing. You want to listen to the 2-minute video?
Yeah, put it on. Yeah, sure, put it on.
Bonnie Critchley is running as an independent candidate in the upcoming by-election in Battle River Crowfoot, and she joins me now. Bonnie Critchley, it's good to meet you. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Good morning. Well, at least it's morning here right now. So, hi, how you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you doing? Tell us why you've decided to run in this by-election and run against the Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's seat.
What party is she
really boils down to my slogan, which isn't a slogan. It's simply the truth. This is our home. This is our riding. We just had an election, and we spent all that money, and we elected the candidate of our choice, who promptly turned around and said, no, I don't want that mandate I asked you for. And we're spending another $2 million to vote in the angry guy from Ottawa, who doesn't know jack about this area. He may have been born in Calgary, but he's from Ottawa. He hasn't been here. He hasn't lived here. And even if he had stayed in Calgary, this is a very different area than the urban centers he's used to.
So you're mad. You don't like what Damien Kirk has done. You don't like what Pierre Poilievre has done, even though there is.
She definitely looks like one.
Yeah.
The point in the matter is that, I was talking with Jason Laving a couple of weeks ago when we recorded here in Montreal, and he said that the biggest threat to Poilievre is an independent. Now, I'm not saying that she's the one. I'm not saying at all that she's the one. But, you know, to say, we've said this before too. Like, why is, obviously Pierre Poilievre is having a by-election in Alberta because it's pretty much a given. Like, he's going to win. Lesbo over there is not going to win. Like, she's not going to win. But I'm very curious to see if there's other independents that run, that are from Battle River, that are from that riding, that play the card that she's playing. This is a dude from Ottawa that will never be here. He will never be in this riding because he wants to become the leader of the Conservative again. So he's just using your riding because it's probably the safest riding in Canada. All he wants is his job back in Ottawa. He's not going to be here. He doesn't come from here. He doesn't understand our problems. He doesn't understand what we have to go through on a daily basis, how Ottawa's been fucking us for the past 10 years. That's dangerous for a guy like Poilievre. If you have somebody that is from there and an independent,
it'll resonate.
They won't vote Liberal, right? They will not vote Liberal. Don't get anything wrong here. They won't vote NDP. They won't vote Liberal. But a strong independent that is just, you know, what we were talking about, propaganda and marketing. If somebody comes in that
hammers
just
that message,
just say Pierre Poilievre doesn't care about you. All he wants is his job in Ottawa. He does not care about Battle River. All he cares about is his job in Ottawa. I'm from here. I will do what's right for you. I will represent you in Ottawa. I will be here for you in Ottawa. You just battle that. You just fucking drum. Could be bad for Poilievre.
I mean, it certainly will resonate with some people. I think I think he's going to win that fairly easily, that election. But it certainly will. I suspect it will resonate with some people for sure.
It'll be interesting to see the dip because I think it was something like 80 or 90% of the people in that riding who voted.
There'll probably be a dip, though. That will be interesting to see the
because that sentiment.
Yeah.
There's no way you can convince me that there's not a lot of people in that riding that don't feel exactly like what she was saying. Like, we just fucking did this. We elected Damien Carrick, and now he's basically telling us that he doesn't want to represent us anymore, that he'd rather have this guy do his job because he doesn't want to do it. Because that's basically what he's saying. Like, oh, I don't want to do the job. I think that somebody else should do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely it is. It's and it all desire to like protect Poilievre and just make sure he's the leader. I don't know why the Conservative Party is so like, you know, I don't think.
Bro, should I contact her? We should have her on the show. That would be fucking that would be interesting.
Yeah. I bet she'd come on. Bring her on.
If she's smart, she will take any fucking interview that she can get.
I'd like to talk to her about it. We'll take just a few more of these comments there, and then we can go and jump on to the next one. Gaines says, Pierre is tired. It's time for him to retire and enjoy a lucrative career as a lobbyist or some exec for oil producers board of directors. You know, I mean, that's certainly in the cards for him at some point. And we'll see. I think he wants more and more crack at it. He thinks he can be prime minister, but it looks like they're going to give him one more shot. Robin, though, on the other hand, says Pierre is perfect for the job. He has all-encompassing emotions within him. He is a true patriot and is for the people, not corporations. He is campaigning Crowfoot right now and taking on the PM stance. So, I mean, it shows you some of the diversity of opinions here. I think I can understand why some people think he's a you know, the right guy for the job. I personally, I think he had a shot in the last election. I just, you know, I think there's, if I were in the Conservative Party, which I'm not, I probably would have wanted to see who's up next. As Gaines says, there are other up-and-coming leaders in the CPC. It's their time to shine. But, you know, the people, clearly the brass in the Conservative Party and probably a lot of the rank and file, they think that he deserves another shot. And, you know, that's their call. I think it's I certainly don't think it's a crazy opinion or unreasonable position. But in my opinion, he had a shot. But so it looks like the Conservative Party feels differently, and they're going to give him that second shot.
And I don't, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with Robin saying that she believes he's the man for the job. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't see it. And this is why this space is so great, because you can agree to disagree while still stating your opinion. I'm showing
100%
to why, what I expect from my leader. if you believe that Pierre is good enough or Pierre has the qualities you're looking for in a leader, all the power to you.
100%. Should we move on? Was there anything that you saw that you wanted to take? Oh, fuck, there's a lot. Actually, a lot of the conversation.
Take a few comments because
the audience.
I'm reaching out to
Sure.
Bonnie. So give me 1 minute. I'll reach out to her right now as we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's definitely a lot of them. Bumpy says, I think Poilievre will be better than Carney in question period. Carney doesn't have his public speaking down. Plus, he's not good with formalities of parliament. Well, that's a good point too. We've seen how he responds when he gets rattled or doesn't expect it. Now, it seems like most of the time he's really become aggressive and hostile when he's facing a woman. There's a woman who's asking. So, maybe if it's a man, maybe if it's Poilievre, he won't be as angry and hostile in response. But we'll see. He certainly has not done well anytime he feels like he's being questioned in any, like his integrity is being questioned in any sense. He responds, I think, very suspiciously. He responds with hostility to those questions that he responded to with that hostility back at the beginning of the campaign, the look inside yourself, Rosemary, and point final. Those are absolutely reasonable questions. Those were they were reasonable at the time. And now that we know, months later, that he actually does have all these conflict of interest, they're a million times more reasonable now. In retrospect, the fact that he responded that way, that was a red flag. But he clearly is not good at taking any sort of either criticism or if he feels his integrity is being questioned. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in question period. But I think Poilievre definitely has to come up with his A game. He's got to have that, be in that attack dog mindset, because there's a lot of stuff to go after here. Sylvie says the PPC candidate is a local. She's referring to the interview we just showed. I mean, she was a local too, was she not? The independent there. Frankly, it should be the PPC candidate who is going with the argument that she is playing. That he's an outsider. He's only here because he wants to be leader. And I think that will definitely resonate with some people. Detective Gaines. Unfortunately, in Alberta, we vote conservative no matter what. The CPC takes us for granted, but rightfully so. I mean, and that tends to happen. Anytime one party has a dominance, it's kind of like the Democrats in California. They absolutely take the Californian people for granted. Unfortunately, it's just sort of the way politics works. Bumpy says, Detective Gaines, the move destroyed the infrastructure of the local CPC campaign. People who spent decades trying to turn the riding, they barely won the riding. Do you mean, Bumpy, when you say the move destroyed the infrastructure of the local CPC campaign, do you mean the move to get the Damien, what's his name, Keurig? Is that his name?
Damien Keurig, yep.
Damien Keurig, do you mean to get him out and get Poilievre? Is that the move? Because, yeah, that seems like it would be disruptive to the local political infrastructure. But it just, to me, it just seems like there'd be so much friction, it would just be so difficult to do a move like that. You would only do it for like a generational politician, the kind of guy you're like, okay, we have to get this guy as leader no matter what. And I just don't see Poilievre as that guy. I don't understand why they moved heaven and earth to make sure that is there really no one in the wings who is just waiting for their chance? Maybe, I'm sure Poilievre would consider it disloyalty, but like someone who is saying, okay, I could be leader and now is my chance. It's like these dictators or whatnot, like the Soviet dictator or so many of these coups d'etats that happen. A dictator, you hear the story all the time. Dictator goes on vacation for 2 days and he comes back and there's been a coup and he's been deposed. That kind of thing. Like there's always people in power waiting for the moment. And here you've got Poilievre has been out of power for months. They had to move heaven and earth just to get him to a spot. I don't know enough about the internal machinations of the Conservative Party to know why this didn't happen. But just as an outsider, I'm kind of perplexed that there wasn't someone who was just waiting for their shot. Like, it was a good, especially with the polling, it was a good chance Poilievre was going to lose. Was there no one who's saying, okay, when he loses, I'm going to make my move? And I don't know why that didn't happen.
Well, clearly they still want him as the leader.
Yeah, they clearly do. And I mean, okay, they obviously have the right to decide whoever they want.
But that's all I can see, is that really internally at the CPC, they still believe that he's the man for the job. And that shows me the sad state of affair of the Conservative Party in Canada. Because if 4 lost elections in a row is not enough to wake you up, and this is where I always come back to passion. It's not like you just lost to Justin Trudeau. You know, Harper, when he lost to Justin Trudeau, he left. 10 years after, he was pretty much fucking done. But, you know, the first election that they ran against him, against Trudeau, I can understand they lost it. That's fine. Andrew Scheer, I think it was Jack Layton that lost. Was it Jack Layton?
I think, and he was the NDP guy.
No, yeah, it's not the NDP guy. Fuck, what's the name? Man, I'm drawing a blank because there was a guy before Andrew Scheer. I just can't.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm just drawing a fucking blank right now.
He was the Minister of Defense before that, wasn't he?
The point I'm trying to make is that after Andrew Scheer lost, you tried the same type of candidates one after the other, and I don't see much of a difference between Andrew Scheer and a Pierre Poilievre. I don't see it. There's not. We're at a point that if the Conservative Party wants to be in power again, they need to put somebody that's passionate. You know, as much as I dislike the Arian O'Toole, that's the guy. Good man, bro. Good man. You know the guy in New York, Memdani. As much as that guy is fucking dangerous as shit, fucking socialist asshole that I could never vote for, he's gonna do very well. And the reason he's done charisma. Very well, he got charisma and he's passionate and he's hitting the issues the way his base wants to hear it. And this is what I'm not seeing from him. But in the state of New York, they need a change. No matter if it's good or not, at this point, it's irrelevant. People need a change, just like they did with Trump and Kamala Harris. They needed something different than the past 4 years. We need something different from the past 10 years. And I don't see the leadership in the Conservative Party having it in them to, you know, as you said, their suits. How about you untie that tie, throw it aside for a second, put a guy that is a people's person, that's just a regular dude,
just a regular guy,
that just a hardworking Canadian that just is tired of this shit and is gonna fuck shit up. Because after 10 years, if you're not pissed off by this, you don't belong there. You just don't. You don't belong at the head of a party that's supposed to be the opposition or doing something to change the fucking heading of this country. If you're not passionate about this, what the fuck are you doing in politics? It's plain and simple.
Yeah. To find me a guy who looks uncomfortable in a suit, who doesn't want to be in a suit. You know what I mean? Who
does it because because of the image.
Yes, yeah.
I vote for a guy that fucking shows up in a t-shirt, and that's coming from a guy that for more than a decade I wear a suit every fucking day. But I would vote for a guy that shows up in a fucking white t-shirt, pair of jeans, and fucking Converses, and it's just like, bro, I'm tired of this shit. I don't know for you, but I'm fucking tired of this shit. I'm tired of Ottawa taking decisions for everybody. I'm tired of fucking Ottawa sending our money overseas. I'm fucking tired of this out of control fucking immigration. I'm tired of this fucking thing that we allow men to be in women's bathroom and to compete against our women. I'm fucking tired of our indoctrination centers that we call our public education system. I'm fucking tired that our healthcare has been a problem for the past 20 fucking years and nobody's doing this. Beat that drum for 2 months, 5 points.
It would resonate.
We're fucking done.
Yep.
Done.
People would.
Is it that complicated to find that fucking guy that will be ready to say those things in front of a camera and be backed by a party that actually cares about Canada? You can't do, the definition of insanity is repeating the same action, expecting a different result. In my opinion, the Conservative Party is fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it shouldn't be that hard to find that guy.
Nope.
He's like, that guy should be running. I don't know how they come up with like the leadership race, but I'm like, remember we watched the Liberal leadership race? Wasn't it like $350,000 just to enter it? Like, that is insane gatekeeping.
Yeah.
The guy that if the Conservative Party do anything like that, like, that's crazy. Like, the guy you're talking about, he would not be able to afford a $350,000 entrance fee, and that's exactly why they have those, right? It's gatekeeping, pure and simple.
Obviously.
But if the Conservative Party wants to be real and they actually want to win, have an open leadership race. All you need to do is be a conservative, because I guarantee you there's someone up there who's going to go up there and say exactly what you just said. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. If you're with me, vote for me. That would resonate. That would be effective. But now
that's what they need to win. That's what they need to win is passion.
It makes you wonder. I don't think they actually care about winning. They just care about the cushy jobs that come with being, an MP, and being in the opposition. They get the pension, they get the expense account, they get the prestige. It's not like, I don't think they actually care about making changes. Now, some people, like Robin, for example, she thinks Poilievre does, and she thinks he wants to make those changes. Also, the new guy, not Michel, but the other guy that was Sean, he also seems to to think that, and that's fair, and if he gets elected, I hope that he does do those things. If I were a betting man, I don't know that I don't think I would put a lot of money that he would, but I'm open to being proven wrong. Again, I voted for the guy. I certainly think he would be better right now than Carney, but I also just think, as I was saying earlier, I just think the Liberals need to lose and lose big. And I say this as a Liberal because they're going in the wrong direction. And if they keep winning, they will have no incentive to course correct. In fact, they will say, oh, what we're doing must be right. And they will keep doubling down until it will be just absolutely too late. And it probably already is. But I think if there is going to be any positive change in the Liberal Party, and I'd say this, liberal-leaning parties, left-leaning parties all over the West, whether that's the Democrats, whether it's the Liberal Party, they need to lose, and they need to lose big, so that hopefully the common sense, sane lefties like myself, like Michel Depois, I think his name was Deveau. And I also know there's millions of common sense lefties who just are silenced in the left leaning parties right now. They do not have a voice. But if they start losing and getting their ass kicked, maybe that they will be able to speak up. And that's sort of I guess what I hope. But who knows? Maybe we're all just fucked and there's no point to it, and we're all going down. We may as well. We're just the ones playing the violins on the Titanic as it goes down. But whatevs. It is what it is.
Let's see, but I'm just doing some research because Sylvie said at one point you guys should talk to this
independent.
I already reached out.
Okay. The PPC.
But for the PPC, it's just I don't know that there's one. I don't know that I should have asked. I saw Maxime Bernier just a couple of weeks ago. I should have asked him. I don't know. I didn't think about it, but.
That's kind of like political malpractice a little bit to not run a candidate in that election.
The thing is I'm not saying that there will not be, but the closing as per election candidate, the closing date for nominations or nomination for candidates is Monday, July 28th. So it's possible that we have not seen the last people, but up to now, bro, they're running the same. This is another thing that fucking drives me nuts when they do that. But what was remember during the election in not in Ottawa, he's from Carleton. In Carleton they ran that long ballot initiative. Those fucking assholes. They already started doing it. Like, I'm just looking. This is Election Canada's.
That's so how is that allowed, man? Like,
but look at that. Name of official agent. So the person that's basically representing them all. Look at that. It's all the same. It's all the same people. It's the same guy that did it the first time. If I'm not mistaken,
somewhere between
sounds very familiar.
Somewhere like
he's the same guy. He's the same guy that ran that 91 candidate list against Poilievre.
I don't. How is that? would they ever allow that in the liberal in a
No, of course
liberal
not.
district?
No, of course
Well,
not. Of
why
course
are the
not.
conservatives? If on the next election there aren't conservatives doing that, then that's political malpractice. Not because I think this is a good practice. I think this is terrible and it shouldn't be banned. But the only way to ban it is if you start doing it to liberals. Then maybe they'll say, "Oh, okay, well we can't allow this." But this is crazy. I can't believe that they allowed this. Bumpy says, I know to run for a local rising candidacy, the CPC charges $1,000. So this is referring to what I was asking a few minutes ago, was how much does it cost for the liberal leadership race? That seems reasonable. I agree. There should be some sort of
no. Hold on. This is to be a candidate of the CPC
in a local. Oh, okay.
Exactly. And because I know what you're referring to, like that's why you only had like people like Chrystia Freeland, like Carney, that actually went represent the party, the Liberal Party, when Trudeau stepped down and automatically become the prime minister. It was something ridiculous, like 250 grand. I'll find the number as you take questions. I don't know if the Conservatives do the same thing, but that's not what Bumpy's talking about. It's just me for, let's say, as an independent,
if
or
you want to run in this Crowfoot one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not becoming the leader of anything. I'm just becoming hopefully the candidate for. I'm just a candidate for that riding.
So that was my question, was because the Conservatives haven't had a leadership race that I can, in the last couple of years. It would have been 4, 5, 6 years ago, but the Liberals did have one just before the election, and that was the thing during there. It was this insane fee, it was like $350,000. Clearly, is designed to gatekeep. It was clearly designed to anoint Carney, and it's clearly designed to allow only establishment figures within the parties, right? There's no young firebrand, no radicals that are going to be able to pony up that kind of dough. But it's also extremely undemocratic. And I was just wondering if the Conservative Party does something similar. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But that would explain, if they do, why we don't see that kind of young, sort of passionate, hungry politician that you were describing a few minutes ago.
Let's say I wanted to go in politics. Let's say that was my goal. I want to go in politics because I'm passionate about everything that I said. This was not a fucking prepared speech. This is just how the fuck I feel matters to most Canadians. I could not afford 350 grand because the Leader, as per the Hill Times, a very, very leftist magazine or website, says that the Liberal leadership candidate had to pay 350 fucking grand as
just
an
to enter, just to
in
enter.
January 2025 in order
they don't
to
get that back.
The race, no. So who the fuck can afford it? They basically made it impossible for anyone that is passionate, because
is young, people that, hungry, who may be a bit radical.
300 fucking 50 grand sitting around to pay for this is somebody that's probably already part of the system. It's already somebody that
established. They're an establishment character. They're not going to rock.
They represent somebody. They represent somebody, and it's not Canadians.
No. And look at, and you can see by the who eventually made it into that race. It was it was Freeland. It was Carney. Might have been one or two others, but it was all the same. It was the usual suspects, right? It was not the people that are going to make any real changes, and of course that's exactly why they do it. Robin says $300,000 for holding the gate, but long ballot goes unchecked. I think she's kind of referring to this difference. You've got
I agree. It's okay to charge 350 grand for you to become the leader of the Liberal Party, but there's no problems putting 85 dumbasses candidate in Pierre Poilievre's Carleton riding. Not only did they reshape his riding by adding a massive amount of Liberal to his riding by extending it, they added 85 people from the long ballot committee in order to make it more confusing. Pierre Poilievre's name was midway, and you saw the fucking one's okay, the
Canada, there's clearly the only purpose of that. The only purpose, I don't care what, you're an idiot if you disagree with this. The only purpose for that is to make it more confusing, right? It's fundamentally anti-democratic. How did fucking Elections Canada allow it? It is this shit that allows people to say, things like Elections Canada that are supposed to be nonpartisan. That's the stuff that makes it seem like the system has their foot on the scales, or their hand on the scales in favor of the Liberal Party. They see it in the media, they see it in Elections Canada, and maybe it isn't that. But if you're Elections Canada, you have to think about how perceptions are going to look. Perception will become reality, and it's the easiest call in the world to make that illegal, right? To say no, we know what you're doing, you can't do that shit, but they don't.
So I did not know that. So thank you for having this conversation, because I always do research as we're talking. Turns out that in 2022 leadership race, the entry fee for the Conservative Party leadership was 300 grand, consisting of a 200,000. So 200,000 is non-refundable registration fee and 100,000 refundable compliance deposit. Candidates also needed to submit a completed leadership contestant questionnaire, a written endorsement of the party code of conduct, and 500 signatures of endorsement from party members across at least 30 electoral districts in 7 provinces by April 29th, 2022. An initial 50,000 deposit was required by April 19th, 2022.
And all the other reasons.
But if you look at the 2020 leadership race, it was still 300 grand with 100 grand that was refundable. And in 2017, you know how much it was? $50,000 refundable, non-refundable. It was 100 grand, 50,000 non-refundable with 50,000 refundable.
That's crazy. Something like $20,000 should be.
But who has? If
nobody.
The candidates but some people do, obviously. But you're literally asking someone to dump 20, 50, 100 grand on something that they have no idea if they can win. And the average Canadian is not sitting on 100 grand that he can. Maybe he is in investments and equity in his house. I get it. But how many people have that to gamble with?
Well, yeah,
that's a gatekeeping, and you can give me that bullshit that we're trying to make sure that not everybody signs up for this. They can't,
and that's valid. $20,000, $10,000.
It's not, because if you look, you already need to have 500 signature of endorsement from party members.
Yeah, so that's right. That's enough of a gatekeep. That's enough of a gatekeep to make sure that
I would rather they say. If they're talking about party members, they're not talking about elected officials. They're talking about people that will donate to the Conservative Party and be part of the Conservative Party, as then they can vote for who's going to be elected as the leader. Make that number, instead of 500, make that number 1,000. Make that number 10,000 for all the fuck I care. Because at the end of the day, you're representing the people. If you can find, let's say, 10,000 people within the Conservative Party, they're ready to vote for you. There are people out there. I'm sure somebody that's really passionate, charismatic, that cares about the people can get 10,000 people to pay whatever the registration fee to become a Conservative leader, a Conservative Party member, in order to vote for you. That to me makes sense. But having to pay even 20 grand, who the fuck's going to gamble 20 grand unless you have a lot of liquidity that you can get away with? And that goes against the problem. The problem is that you don't want fucking guys sitting on 300 grand
who had that kind of money.
Exactly. This is the fucking problem.
It's
you want a commoner. You want a commoner.
And that's exactly what the system's designed to keep out. The politician you were talking earlier, the guy who just gets up and says, you know what, I'm fucking sick of. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. And many of those things are probably going to be, controversial or uncomfortable things to say. But that is what, politics needs right now. That's what the Conservative Party needs. And that $300,000 fee is entirely intended to keep out those people, because that guy or girl would win, right? They would win if the leadership race. I don't know who votes. But if it's just the rank and file Conservative Party, that guy would win. And they don't want that, right? It's we keep saying it again and again. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. And that's just George Carlin who said that, a brilliant comedian. But that applies to so many things that we talk about here. It is designed to give the illusion of access while keeping the peasants and the riffraff like us, like the common man, common woman, keep us out.
Common man, common woman. Agree.
Yep. Yes,
What's going on, Ivermectin?
Yes. How's it going?
Shall we put a pin in it? I love these
Yeah, we'll
types of
put a pin in it.
conversations, though. I really
Yeah,
like these
it's-
types of conversation. This was
Yeah,
not
I
the
do
intent
too.
of the show, but I like it. I really like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's another great thing about the show is you never know where it's going
I
to go.
learned. People
Yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
shit in the comment. Not shit as in it's bullshit. They say stuff in the
Say
comments.
stuff.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh shit, hold on. And I start
Look
typing,
at-
and I did not know that the conservatives are as bad as the liberals when it comes to their entry fee to become a leader.
I didn't know, but it
And
doesn't
you know what?
surprise me.
I'm just going to put a question out there. As a career politician that makes about 200 grand a year, where the fuck did Poilievre get 300 grand?
Wow. You know, it didn't
just-
come from him.
No,
It
no,
didn't
no,
come from
no,
his
but
pocket. Oh,
let's just say, like,
maybe it did. Maybe it did. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, one of two things happened. It either does come from his pocket, and that's its own set of questions. How did he get that kind of money? What's his net worth? Several $1 million, $10 million. I mean,
I've seen some stuff from a few millions to 20. It's
Okay.
almost impossible to know, right?
Yeah. Or the other potential is some rich guy paid for it, and now, now he's got Poilievre in his pocket, and that's obviously its own set of issues. So, and final comment before we put a pin in it, Bumpy says there should be a buy-in option, but there should be a legacy entry if you've been part of the party for 10 to 20 years. I agree. There should be multiple. I'm okay with a buy-in option as long as you also have a path just for a regular conservative who and the same should be true of the Liberal Party too. This is just how politics should work. But unfortunately, we know that it's not. It's not designed for people like you or me.
Put it back. Yep. I disagree with you, Bumpy, and because the whole problem is legacy conservatives. That's the problem. And if I'm referring to legacy as in 10 years, 20 years ago, it was a bit different, but 10 years to me, that's a great term. But they're the problem. I don't want those guys at the head of the party. That's the fucking problem. I want to have a fresh face that just, like Trump did with the Republican. He's not a fucking Republican. He just knew that he couldn't run as a Democrat. So he ran as a Republican. This is what I want to see. I want to see a libertarian show up and just say, I'm fucking tired of this shit. There's no libertarian party that's big enough in order to make an echo and look at what happens to the PPC. So if you want to become prime minister, you're either going to have to be a liberal or conservative in Canada right now as it stands. That's where the Overton window is. So he's going to have, they're just shutting the door to a conservative like me, for example. I'm a real conservative, small c, not big C. But I could never run as a fucking liberal. There's no fucking way I could run as a liberal. I don't even think I could run as a conservative because I'm more conservative than the conservatives. But the point is that I would need a party like the Conservative if I wanted to be PM, because unless you're liberal and conservative, you don't have enough votes, you don't have enough seats, you don't have enough presence throughout Canada. And look at the PPC. However you feel about Maxime Bernier, it's extremely hard to build a fucking party from the ground up. And they've done everything possible to keep new parties out of the debate. So what else do you have? Social media to build yourself, and that's not easy, man. Reaching people in Canada is not that easy. So
no, it's not.
Very interesting problem. I did not know the Conservatives did that.
Yeah. No, it is very interesting conversation. And again, that's one of the great things about the show is you never know where it's going to go, and we learn things just as much as everyone else. But with that said, it is that time again, folks, where we are going to put a pin in it. Some new faces today, some excellent conversation. If you guys are new and you want to support the show, obviously the first thing you can do is like and share the stream, subscribe to the channel. And if you really like what we do, if you think there's a space for it, you can become a member through the YouTube channel for the low price of $2.99 a month, not even a shitty coffee. And that will, of course, allow you to support independent media like this and also just help build the community. Guys, it was been an excellent show. Thank you for all your comments, and hopefully we see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Oh, do we have a guest tomorrow?
We do have Derek Reimer, the Calgary minister that keeps on getting arrested for publicly protesting against Queen. What is it? The Drag Queen Hour.
Drag Queen Story Hour. Yes.
And just
was
like what
arrested.
John said, like John Carpe was on the show yesterday saying that there are bylaws in Calgary to prevent guys like him
That's
from
wild.
protesting within 100 meters of a public space.
So all he was doing
So
was
he
just praying, right? He was just praying. That's it.
preaching
Okay.
the Bible. He's been doing it forever. He's been arrested more time than I know, and he spent more than 200 grand, if I'm not mistaken, in
Wow. That's crazy.
fees. But he just
So that would
texted me last week. He's like, "Hey, I got arrested. I'm out of prison again. I'm out of jail again. So if you want to talk, I can tell you why." I'm like, "Let's do
Yeah,
it."
sure.
So he'll be here.
So
He'll be here tomorrow at 12:30. If
So you
you
guys
want to
don't wanna
join, if
miss
you have
that?
questions.
that'll be an excellent conversation. Sylvie says, you guys worked. We went 10 minutes into overtime. That's right. That's right.
God damn it!
Yeah, we went into OT. All right, guys. We will catch you tomorrow. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll catch you Wednesday at noon.
Peace out.